Welcome, everyone. I'm here with Justin. Justin, welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here. You've been here many years.
Yes,
My only regret is not having karaoke last night.
Oh my gosh, that was like a lot of people were like hitting me up on like Facebook Messenger and things like, what happened to karaoke? And I was like, I don't know. This is the second conference this year that pulled karaoke off that I was like the initiator of it. Granted, that was part of the program 2 years ago when it started, when Spy Food did that whole thing. But like,
well, next year I promise I'm going to do this. We have 4 days of this conference now. It's gotten a little bigger.
Yeah.
But tonight is the last night before we have workshops the next day. This might be a pretty good night to do karaoke, especially after the comedy stuff we're doing this afternoon.
Ooh.
So now the thing that's interesting about that is I know that we'll have to book you for a session, but I know you're probably more interested in getting booked for karaoke. So we'll have to move your session to like a Thursday, so you'll definitely be here for your karaoke. We'll work the whole schedule around karaoke.
I'm really glad that that's how you're scheduling things now. to be quite honest.
Well, I'm big fans of great speakers like you. You had a great discussion on conversion and 7 things to definitely tips and advice of things not to do.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that, and how did you even think about that as a
well,
concept?
It's actually kind of funny, and so that wasn't actually what I planned on talking about.
Yeah.
I think it was when we were chatting about it. I think I was like, I threw some ideas out there, and then I looked, and when that was what was on there, I was like, oh no, like, is that a typo? So, but anyways, and then actually I put in our Slack channel today. I took a picture of it. I said over under on how many people show up to this, of people who just want to tank their stuff. But then what was interesting though is everybody that came in there was more about like they were hungry for that information. And what I did was I pivoted it. I had a fun little story, and then I pivoted it to being like, I'm not going to tell you 7 things not to do. I'm going to give you a 15-point checklist so you never have those problems ever again.
Got it.
So I think what that turned into is something we like to do at Digital Marketer when we do any of our email campaigns and our things. It was one of the best curiosity hooks for a session I've ever seen. Huh. And they just ate it up. And it was also the easiest way to connect with the crowd when I walked on stage. And I was just like, all right. And I did a fun little thing in Keynote where I burned the title, and then I anviled the new thing that I was going to be chatting about. I was like a phoenix through the flames, this arises. And it was a great way to connect with the audience, because I was like, I'm surprised how many of you came in here and you're so focused on not wanting to do things.
Turns out the conversion track was incredibly popular this year. Session after session has been packed.
Yep, yeah, and that's telling me something.
Exactly.
Specifically, like, and I've been in a lot of the sessions through the last couple of days, and I was watching some people speak, and you could tell like the types of companies that are here. There are like larger companies here, which is great for me because I don't get to spend a lot of time with a lot of those companies. I work with generally small, mid-sized organizations, and it's interesting to see because they're like big companies, even though they're as successful as they are, they're always years behind.
Yeah. And
you can see that they're just getting to that bubble that we were seeing, like when conversion stuff was peaking, like in 2012.
Yeah.
Like they're just getting there, and it's interesting to see. I think how content and conversion come together is going to be a really wild ride for the next couple of years, especially at the enterprise level.
Exactly. Tell us a little bit about that tension that exists right now of wanting to focus on so many different things for either a landing page or overall architecture optimization, which I'm sure plays into what you were talking about. But yeah. Are you relying more on technology and A/B testing and headlines and visuals and changes, or are you thinking more architecturally about the whole content flow and attribution and moving people around the website? Where's your head at right now with, because you're managing a lot of properties and a lot of different team members in your day job. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But stay with me on conversion optimization. What are the triggers that you think people should focus on?
It's your offer and how you articulate it. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've done everything from back when I was at Witch Test 1 to like all these other things when I would get to really like micro changes that would impact conversions and those things. But as optimization has, the optimization industry and discipline, as that's matured, I actually don't rely as much on A/B testing as I used to. I use it more or less now as more risk mitigation, where it's like I have this idea, I want to make sure like do no harm first to things. But I think what it comes down to is for me, it's always articulation and offer. Like as marketers, we're professional explainers, and if we're explaining something poorly, people aren't going to take an action. And if we're explaining something really great about something that really sucks, we're just going to convince people we suck faster.
Yeah.
So that's really where it lies. And like even after my session, people came up to me and they'd ask questions like, hey, we're using Eloqua, but when we just started dabbling, and I heard this a lot today, which just blew my mind. We just started dabbling on our landing pages and those things. Like, where should I start? Because you talked some about design, some about these things. And I said, most of the time, it's more often than not, it's like nine times out of 10, it's your offer that's wrong. You have a wrong targeting match, or your articulation's off. And I shared a bunch of different tools and methods that I use to kind of break through that.
Got it. We'll have people dive right into that and take a look.
Yeah.
Let's go back to your role as digital marketer.
Yeah.
Tell us what you're doing there now. You got a great promotion. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Tell us what they've burdened you with. What problems or what challenges are you now trying to solve?
Solve the challenges of multiple companies now that are focused on helping businesses grow. So digital marketer has always had the mission to help double the size of 10,000 businesses. And to do that, like, we kept expanding our offerings to a point where it didn't fit within the digital marketer brand anymore. We started creating software. We started acquiring companies at that point. So really what we were looking into is like, what can we do to have a unified mission? What connects all these things together? And they are just companies that are focused on helping, creating software, communities, or trainings for helping businesses grow. That's it. That's our unified kind of theme across these teams. So now I go from working on just digital marketers marketing, which is one of the most meta positions you can have. It's marketing to marketers about marketing, to having to run multiple teams across multiple companies now for that are scalable brands, essentially.
Tell us what you're seeing with team sizes these days. I'm curious because you have a really cool vantage point of a lot of companies doing a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Are people, by the way, I have an analogy for, content management, like saying, are you playing tennis? Is it more of a one-on-one, one or two person shop? Basketball team maybe, or hockey team, five people on your first line. And we're both Bruins fans, by the way, let's just say that. Go Bees.
Go Bees.
Or you're a football team with like multiple. So what size marketing teams are you trying to coach up and manage and help guide?
Right now at Digital Marketer, it's football team size. It's a big team with a lot of moving parts.
I see. What are some of the departments?
So we kind of break it up into two main departments. We had three, but I absorbed one into the other. Where originally we looked at it as acquisition, promotions, and then operations. So that would be like anything under operations would be like automation sequences, like DevOps, those types of things. Under promotions is kind of your email marketing person, your kind of jack of all trades, like intern or marketing coordinator, those types of people.
Yep.
And then under acquisition, you have your paid media people, you have your content marketing people, your social media people, and then what you end up doing is when you have all of them working together, the content starts actually driving the promotions. Because we look at everything in terms of outbound communication. We don't, like, even saying the word promo, sometimes I don't like saying it as much, even though we know what it is, we're marketers. But we are focused on outbound communication for things, and so we want to make sure that, like, we're respecting the recipients, whether they be leads, customers, prospects, whatever they are. So it's actually the content calendar and the product calendar, and at Digital Marketer, product is content.
Right.
That's what drives everything between how we generate promotions, how we kind of fill out that calendar, how we talk on social media, how we kind of do everything. So it was a really cool shift to see, and it was funny. We made a joke in our team meeting one time, and it was I was like, hey, like I was working on a migration, so I was kind of MIA for a little bit, and so the kind of the middle management team was able to run with the ball, which is fantastic. And I came back, and they were just talking about some things. I was like, huh, and one of our designers goes, yeah, it's like we're a real marketing team, huh? I was like, Kayla, you're a jerk, but I love you. Because yes, it was really cool to see, and it was wild because I joined Digital Marketer when there was like 6 or 8 of us.
Wow.
And now it's upwards of 60 people, and just seeing like that you don't need to be the one with all the ideas anymore. You don't need to be one to drive it. You duplicate yourself, and you start seeing and allowing and cultivating growth for people at the organization. Everybody talks about growing their companies, growing revenue, growing these things, but they don't talk enough about growing like individuals and organizations, because that has to follow. If you're growing your revenue and your kind of your operations there, but not focusing on growth of the individuals there, you're going to lose.
Yeah. I talked about that yesterday in my keynote a little bit about this concept of, you need to give people a license to shift around and develop new skills and figure out what they're great at and find passion about something.
Yep.
Are you encouraging that? Do you encourage people to learn other skills? Great, go work in the SEO department for a year and see how that goes and get your base there, and you might then become a better writer,
Yeah, that's,
do you encourage that?
Absolutely. One of the things we've always believed, like whenever we interview people, one of the things we look at, it's like, even if they aren't as good as they say they are, one of the questions we ask is, can you write? Show me you can write. And we always ask people if they can write, because if they can write, we can fit them somewhere.
Yeah.
But one of the things we did, our April Fool's campaign was just a perfect example of how we kind of let creativity happen and workshopping happen. We realized like 11 days before April Fool's was going on, we're like, we should do something. And nobody, like we just had a Slack channel just filling all these things in. And it didn't matter, like it was for the entire company just pulling ideas in, rather not just marketing, not just video. And we ended up coming up with the idea of like, what if our CEO was fake? And we created a documentary trailer, like Netflix style, based off like American Vandal, and teased it all through social media and all these things that Ryan, like the truth is coming. And we did a whole thing about how Ryan Dice is fake.
Oh my God.
And that was the coolest thing for like, and it was a lot of extra work. No deadlines suffered. Everybody felt ownership on something, and they got to really flex that creative muscle, and it really built team morale. It was a fun campaign, and it was just amazing to see what they could come up with. And it shows like people like in customer care or those things, they start saying like, hey, they're doing cool stuff over there on the marketing team. And then we actually have 2 people who are cross-training right now on like in the video department, where we have like an assistant editor now that came out of customer care because they saw interest in some of the stuff we were working on. So we do a lot of that stuff just in digital marketer, and then with some of our other brands, as like openings happen, people can move kind of laterally to different companies or up at different companies. It's a really cool situation.
Got it. It's been great having you with us.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me, man.
And no, it's fantastic, and we look forward to having you back next year. I know
yeah.
you always kill it. You always get rave reviews. I'm sure that's going to happen again.
Hopefully.
But I'm sure your fans will look forward to talking with you afterwards as well. It's a show that we can really network with one another and meet people. So hats off for all you do.
Oh, thank you. And to you. You put this thing together, so let's be serious.
Great to have you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone. See ya.